Greetings YouTube, it is I, such a summon the Fanatic, back at you with a new deck profile. Dark Structure deck just came out. I believe this is our first on the channel with the Dark Structure deck. This is my initial take on it. It's Darkest Demise is what I am calling it currently. Let's get into it. So first off, we got a really low monster count. We got 3 Darkest Diablos. I mean, you guys don't know what this card does. Basically, if a dark monster is distributed during either player's turn while it's in your hand or graveyard, you just summon it back to the field. He can't be targeted, and he cannot be tributed, so they can't kaiju this. And once during your turn, if you like, you can basically tribute him and have your opponent place 1 card in their hand on either the top or bottom of their deck, their choice. 3,000, 2,000, he is a melody target. I'm not running melody in here, though. But if you'd like to, you could. I've seen multiple different versions, but I've never seen one quite like this, kind of why we're showcasing it on the channel. Next up, second most important card of the deck, Lilith, Lady of Lament. I'm just going to cut to the chase. This card is broken. You basically tribute any dark monster, this can include herself, during either player's turn, and then you just reveal 3 trap cards from your deck. Your opponent randomly selects one, and then you just set it directly to your field. So she can tribute other monsters as well. So this is where the tokens from the field spell come into play. But essentially 2,000 also, and she becomes 1,000 if you normal summon her. But if you, all you have to do, it's kind of like if any of you guys remember Power Tool Dragon back in the day, you just reveal 3 of the same card and you just set that, because it's the same thing. And then we got 3 Arima, the Wicked Warden. You can tribute a dark monster other than him in order to add Diabolos directly to your hand. That's mainly what we use him for, but you can use the draw effect also to get extra cards in your hand for other stuff as well. Next up, we have 2 one-offs. 1 Jurigato, because it's hand trap. You can special summon it during your battle phase, get 1,000 life points back, and tribute it, give a monster 1,000, and again, the tributing, you get Darkest Diabolos out of your hand, and then you can just steal games that way. And then we have 1 Absolute King Backjack, because all the cards, the majority of this deck is going to be normal trap cards. So you just banish Backjack from the graveyard, again running Card of Demise and Into the Void. So if you're stuck with him in the hand, it's not bad. If you had any Link monsters, you could lick them away, but I currently don't have an extra deck for this deck just yet. Don't really know what to run into it, and don't really have any of the big expensive Link monsters either. And I've only got the 1 Link Karibo, and that's in Blue Eyes. Speaking of, Link Karibo is probably a good Link monster in this deck when he becomes more readily available this summer with the starter deck. So, possible things you could run there. Next up, Heart and Soul of the deck. Hands down, Lair of Darkness. This is arguably the most broken field spell we've had in the game in a long while. All monsters become dark, and during the end phase of every turn, that turn player gets Torment token special summoned to their side of the field in defense position based on the number of monsters that were tributed that turn. Very important. So even if you do your tributing during the opponent's turn, the opponent gets tokens. The most broken part about this card is once per turn, you can, if you're activating a card effect that requires you to tribute monsters, you can use an opponent's monster as the cost for that tribute instead of yours, as long as it meets the qualifications. So again, Heart and Soul of the deck, you run 3. Oh, that's one thing I forgot to mention about Arima as well. He's an instant searcher for Lair of Darkness. So you can either pitch Arima to get this thing right on the field, or use the effect of tributing stuff if it's to get more cards in hand. Next up, 3 Card of Demise. This card needs to be limited, mostly because of True Draco, also because of Paleo. I'm going to run it at 3 while it's still at 3. Took us forever to get this card, and it's funny, they watered it down and people still say it's broken. 3 Into the Void, because it's sort of like a mini Card of Demise. You have to have 3 in hand in order to play it. 2 Pod Duality, not 3. And the last spell card and the last draw card that you have in the deck is 1 Upstart Goblin. No Desires. I don't think it really works in this deck, mostly because you don't want to banish all 3 of your Liliths or all 3 of your Darkest Diaboloses or anything like that. Next, now we get into the traps, and there's a ton of them. 3 back to the front. Absolutely amazing. Special summon a monster from the graveyard. You're probably wondering why back to the front and not call a hunted. It's a normal trap, so all my stuff can abuse it. 3 Mind Crush. Batsuno game Mind Crush. Basically, you're running the viruses. You'll see those in a few moments. And there's a lot of cards that just search specific cards. You just call the card name after they search it, and then your opponent's out for a turn. 2 Heavy Storm Dusters, because I wanted some sort of spell and trap destruction outside of Epidemic Eradicator, and this one seemed to be okay. I didn't think 3 was really necessary. 2 Lost Wind. Good against most decks, and I didn't think 3 was necessary. And now we get into the viruses. 2 Full Force, 2 Deck Dev, 1 Eradicator. Full Force just destroys monsters with 1500 defense or less. Deck Dev kills monsters with 1500 attack or less. And Eradicator does spells or traps, your choice. No Crush card, and unfortunately I don't think Grinning Grave Virus is all that good. A lot of people don't, because I don't see it in a lot of decks. This is one that I'm kind of interested to know why people aren't in decks, and I'd probably run more if I had more, but I've only got the one. It's a Dark Spiritual Art Greed. Basically, you tribute a dark monster, and then you draw 2 cards, and your opponent can have the option of revealing a spell card in their hand to stop it. But the reason this card is in here is because of the field spell. You just tribute your opponent's monster because it's treated as dark because of the field, and you either draw 2 cards or your opponent's out of a monster. It's a lose-lose scenario for them. And because we're running a whole bunch of traps, Jar of Avarice, good to shuffle a whole bunch of stuff back. And 3 Tolerant Tokens, because I only got the 3. You should probably have like 5 or 10 or something when you're running the deck, because you're going to be summoning them a lot if you really get going. But yeah, that's it for Darkest Demise. Expect more dark decks in the future on this channel, probably from myself. I've got a couple of other things I want to try, maybe like a Critias variant or a Dark Lord variant. Let me know down in the comment section below which one you would like to see first. And that's it. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you guys later.